The eighth house looks like astrology's junk drawer. You are usually handed a list of edgy keywords to memorize without any explanation of how they connect. This makes the entire system look disjointed and incoherent when the answer is actually very simple. The eighth house is where life is forced to change. It is the shift that happens when many forces collide. To understand this, we do not need to look up any information online or read any book. The houses explain and prove each other better than words ever could. Let's start with the basics. Before anything else, a system has to exist. That is the first house, the self, you. Any existing system needs rules. That is the second house, your framework, what you are working with, be it physical resources, mindset, or laws. It is the code you operate on. Any point has a polar opposite. If the first house is the system itself, you, then the seventh is everything that is not you. It is the other. It is the world you interact with. Opposition is a relationship. It forces interaction and change. It's a tug of war. You change the world, and in turn the world changes you. It is a feedback loop, an entanglement. From this, we can piece together the truth of the eighth house. The eighth is the second from the seventh, meaning it is the framework of the other. It is the rules and events of the external world. By opposing your own second house, it reshapes your framework and what you are working with. It is the circumstances of life that change you and your approach to it. The eighth house is the area of structural reconfiguration. That's it. From this core concept, we can now check all the keywords, even the weirdest and most disjointed ones, and establish a very clear pattern between them. Let's start with taxes. Your framework, your money, is opposed by the greater framework of your society. Some of your money is taken for the larger system to maintain itself and build. So, it is a structural reconfiguration of both your own finances and of the world around you. Investments are the same. You inject your money, your second house framework, into something else, be it a corporation or the stock market. You join their framework, their rules. If they grow, so do you. If they fail, you also lose. No matter the outcome though, it is a mutual entanglement that reshapes all structures involved. That is the same mechanism behind debt and inheritance. Chemistry is another very good example of eighth house dynamics. Two molecules interacting reshapes both of them. Through interaction, they distribute force differently. The existing bonds can be destroyed and reshaped into a new form, a new substance. It is interaction that brings about structural change. The eighth house is also deeply associated with the hidden, the occult, and the magical. Through secrets, obscure tactics, or any other form of unclear leverage, we are trying to inject our code into the outer world and reshape it in our image. The eighth house is also intertwined with sexual dynamics, because sex is the physical and psychological opening of your boundaries to allow another human's framework to enter yours. It is a mutual exchange of energy. This exchange can create emotional bonds, or even new life. Either way, the participants change one another. Some experiences can exert deep pressure on us and leave a lasting mark. Trauma. Trauma can leave a dent on our framework and affect everything else we do. Recovering from trauma is likewise an eighth house topic. It is learning a new way to connect with the external world that allows to shed old damage. And finally, we get to death, the opposition between you and the bigger systems of time, biology, and entropy. You are not isolated, you are entangled with everything else. The world's framework will eventually overpower yours. Your physical structure will be dismantled and reabsorbed back into the environment. You dissolve to become part of the collective again, but in a different form. The rabbit eats the grass, the wolf eats the rabbit, the wolf decays into the ground and becomes the grass that feeds the rabbit. Death is the epitome of cyclical reconfiguration, an entanglement. And there we have it. Seemingly different concepts, magic altars, tax returns, ecology, chemistry, government budgets, and intimacy, actually all share the same core. These are mutually entangled systems that reshape one another. It's not that the 8th house is confusing per se, rather we explain it poorly. That is why it is always important to go beyond surface-level symptoms, of which there is an infinite amount. By digging down to the system level, we not only uncover the truth, but we wield it with greater ease. Now, let's address the 8th house's reputation. All traditions of astrology throughout the centuries classify the 8th as a dark house, ridden with dangers. It is a place often defined by fear, chaos, and loss. And they're not wrong. The 8th naturally signifies topics humans don't enjoy, and certainly don't have much control over. While all houses are ultimately neutral, neutral does not mean safe. Furthermore, humans carry a bias. We have a reward system that values some outcomes more than others. We want security, we want connection, we want resources, we want pleasure. Once we secure all those things, we want to keep them going forever. We want stability, an eternal fortress. Humans are interested in freezing the world into a shape that will keep them happy. The 8th house fundamentally denies this pursuit because it represents volatility and unknown results. It denies us control in so many ways. We fear the 8th house because we are terrified of losing our grip. Change and the unknown scare us. It can destroy the things our ego identifies with. When the 8th house forces adaptation, it can be quite painful. It can feel like dying. It can be literal death. In the grand scheme of things, though, all of those events are a simple reconfiguration. The 8th house is not a karmic punishment. It is the symbolic bridge to a universal truth. A system cannot interact with its environment without being permanently altered.